Further ado, I'm going to present our first presenter. We have Rene, who is going to be talking about using Certify and Emates in his classroom. I'll let him share his screen and get going, but thank you so much for everybody for being here. And Rene, your first up.
Okay, thank you. Let me just move the little thing over to the side there. All right. So welcome everybody. Today we're going to be introducing you, or I'm going to be introducing you to two very powerful tools, Certify and myemates.org. Whether you're teaching IT, networking, cybersecurity, I mean, I teach all those things, or any type of tech related course, these platforms are definitely going to help you structure that learning resource and enhance that student engagement and comprehension. The session is going to be primarily focused on Certify, and then we'll walk you through its interface, some of its key features, and how to manage the course effectively. I've had to learn this semester how to use it since I'm used to Pearson and Cengage and even McGraw-Hill. We're also going to explore the myemates.org website, which is going to offer those interactive learning activities that help the students grasp the complex concepts. Things like subnetting and IP addressing are one of the things I love to use it for. By the end, you should have a really strong understanding of these concepts. So this is the objectives here. We're going to navigate, Certify, set up and manage courses. We're going to monitor students' progress, request accommodations, apply best practices, and utilize myemates.org for your interactive purposes. Now, what is Certify? And basically, this is a cloud-based learning platform that you're going to use, and it's designed for IT certifications like CompTIA, Network Plus, Security Plus, even Cisco and AWS. I think there's some Microsoft stuff in there. I haven't really taught any of those things, but it does offer that structured learning experience for the students. It does have pre-assessments, interactive lessons, hands-on labs, and practice tests. And it has a final post assessment, to gauge their understanding at the end of the course. And this can be used as your final exam for that course. As instructors, we have to, we will have access to those detailed student progress tracking metrics. And, we'll have access to like syllabus guides and PowerPoint presentations when we're teaching a course. So you won't be left in the dark. You'll definitely have the tools you need to make the experience holistic. Now, this here is what Certify looks like from the perspective of the actual class. When you have a dashboard and you can select the course. I did block out some things because this is a current course that I'm teaching at the moment, which is a Network Plus course. But you can see that the dashboard is your home base, and you'll see things on the left side for your resources, enrolling your learners, managing those learners as well. On the top right, you can see that there's some more tools, and you can even view things from their perspective, the learner's perspective. You can enroll the learners over here as well. And there's archived classes and active ones at the moment. It's funny though, but because I'm currently teaching two, a Security Plus and a Network Plus, but it only says active one. So I'm not really sure what the one is for and why it doesn't show two. But what I can say is this will contain everything that you need to basically get started. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do when you're setting up your course is, well, the first step is setting up those start and end dates for your section. Unlike other LMS platforms, Certify doesn't really allow setting due dates for the specific assignments. So you're going to need to do that with your LMS provider. I'm currently using D2L, which is also known as Blackboard. And so what I do is I have the students enroll into the course. They're the institution that I teach at, Broward College, because I teach at Miami-Dade as well for this. They do the same thing where it basically is like a single sign-on situation. So they click the link and it kind of enrolls them in there. It asks them if this is the section key. They just say yes, and then they go ahead and move forward. It's pretty straightforward. If you do have issues, there is tech support with that. You can Otherwise, provide some kind of access code through a shopping cart link that they provide you on their website, and enroll them that way. Now, a great feature about this Use Certify platform is that it gives the students the option of a mobile application, web application, tablet application, application. So you get kind of access anywhere, right? And you can manage the course only really from online. You can't do it through the app. I really wish you could, but it didn't really give me that option. The enrollment options will allow those single sign-ons. You have the option to change the theme of your platform so it can be dark mode, easier on the eyes, and you can get those weekly progress reports. Now, what's inside the course structure? You can see here, this is when you actually access the course. There are pre-assessments to help the student. Let me put on my highlighter tool if I can. Sorry. I have a highlighter tool here. There you go. Got a little mouse highlighter tool for you can see things. We have a pre-assessment here that's going to help to evaluate that baseline knowledge for the students before they dive into the course material. They do have interactive lessons. This is going to include their reading materials, their videos, and quizzes. And then they're going to have the hands-on labs that are going to simulate those real-world exercises and practice skills. And then, of course, once they get a better understanding, they can take on those practice tests and see how they do. In case they feel like they're weak in some areas, it's going to definitely prepare them for those certification exams. Now, the post assessment is here. It's generally going to be available once they've met a certain mastery level. Because I'm not an actual student, mine says 0%, but theirs will increase as they complete those assignments. Now, the glossary will give them a quick reference to important terms and concepts that they've come across in their readings to help expand their knowledge. And then they can, of course, review with notes and highlighted stuff that they've, bookmarked within the reading so they can kind of review those notes of theirs. Now, this here is a example of the student area, right? So I've blocked out their names for FERPA reasons, but you can see this is a real current one right here. And it's a very valuable feature for us instructors. We can manage them through the ellipses that you see here on the right side. We can see their current readiness progress. Right now, my students have about 1 week left in the class, and I can see that some of these students are only 51% ready. They're not really ready. So I've encouraged them to reach out to the services that they provide at the college for tutoring, and perhaps they can, explain to me what's going on, and I can help them get, fast track to the end at this point. But essentially, this area will allow you to check out their current progress and their grades. So if you click on the circle area here, the green area, it will bring you to it will break down each of their assignments and how they did on those assignments. Now, the resources that I mentioned before, UCertify provides amazing resources for educators. I'm actually kind of impressed. This is the first time, like I said, this semester that I'm using their resources. They give you ready to use presentations that align with the course material the students are reading. I recommend that you kind of open it up and look through it. It's pretty comprehensive, and maybe add some notes so that you can kind of help refresh your mind on some of the topics, because they kind of get in there pretty deep on the topics. I mean, I've got a Network Plus certification, and it kind of, some areas there I was like, okay, it's been a while since I read this, so I had to put a few pointers in there. I was like, okay, and I got it now. It didn't take too much, but it's there. They do have a structured 12-week schedule that you can kind of use to structure the lesson. Now, of course, 12 weeks is not that hard for us. Professors that have been working at least more than a year to kind of stretch it out to 16 or maybe decrease it to 8. You just got to modify a few things. But the 12-week schedule they give is pretty helpful. They have an objective mapping in here as well that'll allow you to kind of look at the objectives and help to focus more on the ones that you find that your students are kind of struggling in. I like to give my students a quiz somewhere in the middle of the semester for extra credit, of course, that kind of brings down the anxiety levels for them. And then I can kind of judge where they're kind of suffering a bit. And, it's kind of helpful when you see those domains and which one they're not doing so well in. And, you can then focus your lessons more on that. There is a help and support to assist with any questions that you have. You'll see that up here on the top right area. where you can click on that button. It'll kind of bring you to the ticketing area and you can ask support. They usually respond within 24 hours. So it's pretty responsive service there. I had to recently reach out to them because one of my students needed accommodations. They needed extra time on exams and quizzes. And I found that online, they said that you could do it through this ellipses area, but it doesn't actually provide that option there anymore. So you really do have to go through the support ticket. The good news is they were able to give me that help. They just asked which student was it, how much accommodations do you need to give them. I told them, and they managed to apply that right away. So it's better to get that done early to avoid any of those delays, and just kind of ask the students on the first day, hey, if anybody has accommodations, reach out to me on email so I can get your accommodations set up. That way they don't miss out on anything. Now, let's talk about my emates.org, because when I first joined up with Insight, that the not, what is it, National Cybersecurity Training and Education Center, they introduced me to this website, and I have found that it has definitely been a very helpful tool. There's a few little hiccups here and there, but generally it's 99% awesome, especially for networking and cybersecurity. You're going to love it. I got to tell you, adding this interactive aspect of it, and I've questioned my students, they said it really helps their understanding more than you might think. My students mastered subnetting within a week and a half. I mean, they pretty much had it down. I had them doing it by hand on the chalkboard, on the dry erase board, but they were able to do it. They were able to figure out how many hosts and how many networks we needed and how to do it, how many, what should our subnet be, and it worked out pretty great. So what is Emates, right? Well, it's just an educational platform. It's designed to help those students grasp those topics, with an interactive animations. Now, this was originally developed by, I don't know how to say his last name, but Michael Quazan or whatever. You guys might be able to say that one for me. From Brookdale. So him and John Sands, they kind of developed this, and it's developed under that NSF grant. So I'm glad that it's been developed, and I hope it continues to stay on there. But it does provide those visualization and hands-on activities. Some of the key features that you'll find with my Emates is those interactive simulations for cybersecurity training that break down the principles of cybersecurity. You'll see topics like network security, cryptography, threat analysis. It's basically designed for both entry-level learners and even for intermediate and advanced learners. I think it really helps with that. It's still growing. I believe they're adding more content to it constantly, which is definitely a great thing to do. It is web-based, so you don't have to install anything, and you can engage those lessons at any time. They encourage you to use it with your organization. You don't need permission. They appreciate people using it in their classrooms. Now, some of the benefits for faculty and students is that visual learning has proven to improve retention. Animations and, to make cybersecurity easier to understand the concepts. It's great for students who are struggling with just pure text-based presentations or content. It can be used to supplement those lectures and reinforce those key topics. It's encouraged my students to actively participate in the activities, because a lot of these Emates, interactive lessons, you can actually play around with the buttons and test things out. So like for the subnetting, we would have a challenge and have them put in whichever values are correct. And it was great to see them get interactive with that. And it's great if you group them up in pairs and see which team wins and offer them a little reward, extra credit, a little bit here and there, 1/4% or 0.5%, whatever is up to you. But how do you integrate this, right? We can integrate this by doing it alongside those PowerPoint presentations or textbook readings. If you're currently showing a PowerPoint and you see that, you're going over a concept, I notice that I look at my students and they seem a little lost a little bit. And then I say, you guys are having a hard time understanding this. And they're honest with me. They're like, yeah, it's a little hard. And I said, then I got one for you. Then I pull up the emails and their eyes just light up and they were like, this seems a lot easier. Why don't we just do this? I said, because we still got to cover the PowerPoints. I think you need to see it this way and that way. You kind of need to see how they work together, and it does work. The complex concepts like encryption and data breaches and firewalls are easier to understand on the interactive part of my Emates, but you still got to cover those little nuances that they may not cover in my Emates. I mean, although it's great, there's going to be some great details that they may not cover. For example, if you're talking about cables in networking, they're not going to explain what 100 base T means. What does the base mean? They need to know that it's baseband. What does the T mean? They need to know that's twisted pair. Otherwise, who's going to tell them, right? You got to have that written down, or you got to verbalize it. Now, I always revisit these animations before the exams because I want to make sure that they have that, that extra touch up on their knowledge and make sure that they're ready. Oh, thank you. I'm almost done. I got one more presentation, one more PowerPoint, I promise. So Emates is free. You don't have to worry about it. It works across all devices since it is web-based. So make sure that you take advantage of it. So just some final thoughts here. It's a valuable tool for that cybersecurity education. You have those interactive animations. It complements your lectures and your traditional learning materials, and it's free to use, so integrate it into your course. Okay, I hope that was informative, and I hope you guys like both the introduction to you Certify and myemates.org.
Thank you so much, Renee. That's awesome.
No problem.
Yeah, and just for everybody who's presenting, we're giving everybody about 12 to 13 minutes since we had one drop off. So that'll give you a little bit of extra buffer because I know 10 minutes is not enough to actually cover what we're trying to talk about today.
I
So
tried.
no, you did great, Renee. It is. It's wonderful. And everybody knows we're going to post these and we'll dig into it, right? That's the whole thing is we want to create that network where you can have those conversations and learn more from each other. So I appreciate